All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to G.W.R. Gonzo'S Wrestling Room. I'm Chris Gonzo'S, joined by my dad, Tony Gonzo'S. How's it going?
Going pretty well.
And we're also joined by special guest pro wrestler Nick Diamond. How's it going tonight, Nick?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Sorry, my finger was over the speaker.
Dad, I'll let you get started while I finish getting.
Okay, Nick, we'll get this started. How long you been pro wrestling?
I've been wrestling since 2018. I started in like the end of October, beginning of November, around there.
By the way, how old are you?
I am 23 years old.
So pretty new to the business for the most part. What got you into pro wrestling?
I actually my stepbrother and my stepdad, one day I got home from school and they were playing SmackDown versus Raw 2007, and it was a Monday. I remember it distinctively because we had watched wrestling that night, and the very first match I ever saw was Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. So I think it is Shawn Michaels and Kurt that got me into it, and then the video games that kind of helped push it along more.
What was the hardest thing for you to learn in pro wrestling?
That would have to be, that's a tough one. I think the hardest thing I've had to learn was it's the tie between don't get too caught up in your own self and how to properly pace yourself.
Okay, we hear that one a lot about pace.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you go to like a school to get trained, or how did you get trained to get in the wrestling business?
When I started, I was actually brought in by one of my high school middle school friends because his brother was a wrestler out in this company in Chicago, PRW. They trained me. It's like I wouldn't really classify it as like a straight wrestling school because they do shows too and everything, but they do training and stuff on the weekends. And I showed up one Sunday, and that was pretty much the start. Like I showed up and I just kept showing up, and they just eventually they stuck me with a gimmick and put me out there in front of the crowd.
What year was your first match? Was that 2018?
My very first match was, well, that depends on if you want to classify a battle royal as a match, because I had one Christmas. I think wasn't on Christmas because there were no shows, but it was their Christmas show, and I had wrestled a battle royal. I was in there for maybe like 35 seconds. But my first like actual match, that was 2019, and that was against a wrestler that I know very well, Ryan Shadows. He wrestles out in Vegas now, but he used to wrestle around here.
Okay, what area are you mainly from? What's the main area that you, or at least got your start at?
I got my start around the Chicago area, like Chicago, Hammond, all there. But in the last 4 going on 5 years this year, I have wrestled in Wisconsin, Tennessee, Ohio. I actually did the Impact Gut Check in Ohio for Impact Wrestling. I've wrestled all over Indiana. I'm hoping to get to Michigan. Hoping. So just the northern Indiana, Chicago area is around where I got started, where I'm mainly at.
Do you have an area that you prefer out of those areas that you've been?
That's tough. I would have to say either the Chicago area, because the Chicago crowds are the most intense out of all of them I've ever been in front of. But if it's not them, I'm going to have to say Lake Station, Indiana.
And what promotions in Lake Station?
ARW. They are one of the main 6 that I'm wrestling with right now. funny story. Like I said, they're one of my main 6 that I'm wrestling with. But when I was growing up, excuse me, when I was growing up, I was a really big fan, and I had never seen anything in person. So my first wrestling show I ever went to was an ARW show. So it's kind of cool.
Is there a big difference in like I know you mentioned the crowd in Chicago, but is like the locker room and or the style? Is there a big difference from like the Chicago area to maybe like here in Indiana?
Not really a big difference. One thing personally I've noticed is the Indiana like crowds and everything, they're a lot more lax, and it's kind of the same with the locker room. But yeah, there's not really much of a difference besides, like I said, like the lax and the intensity of the crowds, pretty much. But
I was
in
going
the
to say I've
locker
never been
room,
to a show.
Hmm?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
like I was saying, the crowds is not really noticeable, but in the locker rooms it kind of is. But it depends place to place.
Yeah, I was going to say I've never been to a show in Chicago, but I got to thinking I had been.
Mhm.
I was at Chicago at a barbecue festival probably 8-9 years ago, and they had an outdoor show, and they had Tatanka. I
Oh,
remember
nice.
being there, and well, because I remember my grandson trying to get in the ring. He was about
Yeah.
it was his first show he ever seen. He was 6 or 7 years old. And they didn't have any barriers or anything, and next thing I know, he's wrestling. The wrestler was supposed to be a Canadian gimmick, and he really hated the Canadian gimmick. So next thing I know, we had to grab him. He was almost in the ring, and then but I remember that. That's the only Chicago around that area that I've been to that show because I've got a daughter that lives in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we've been saying we want to get up, we want to get that way and see some of the shows up there.
If I have any that I have that are like somewhere in like the middle between like Chicago and wherever you guys are, I'll send you the stuff to it.
Yeah, we're in Muncie, Indiana, about 4 hours, about 4 hours away on a good travel day. It
depends on traffic.
Yeah. Me and
do you
my
have
old
any,
road crew used to ride through there all the time. I know how the bad days can be.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite wrestling move that you do, and any favorite wrestling moves that maybe some of the stars that you grew up watching?
See, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this because everyone hates this move now, or I guess technically everyone loves it because everyone does it. But my favorite move is the super kick, because Shawn Michaels was my favorite growing up. Him, Jeff Hardy, Johnny Nitro, those guys, and it's just I don't know. I have to say if it's not the super kick, I would have to say my finisher because it's something I came up with just off the top of my head. Me and one of my friends, Wade Evans, he wrestles with the Workhorses. Me and him came up with it. It's like I pick them up on my shoulders like attitude adjustment, and I just plant their head into the ground in like a snapmare driver. So we both go down and we both land on our face, but I make sure you land more like that and smack your head into the ground.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always, I'm kind of torn with the super kick. That's why I kind of started laughing because I've always been because I was a big Shawn Michaels fan as a kid as well, and I've always been a super kick fan. But it's like you said, so many people use it anymore, and a lot of them don't even use it as a finisher. Anymore.
Yeah,
just
that's
like 4 super kicks and be standing up like nothing happened. And it's like, come on, guys! Super kick has always been a finisher. Or now,
that bothers me so much.
Wrestling move that you dislike. It can be dislike taking, or you just think, hey, this is idiotic. It's kind of goofy. What are you doing? That type of thing.
Marcus has already looked into a show. He said there's a show on March 11th. Dave Allen versus Nick Cutter is on the show, and also says Logan Vittori will be there.
Oh, nice. That should be a good one. I'm sorry, what was your question again before that? It kind of cut out there for a second.
Okay. A wrestling move that you dislike, like maybe dislike taking, or also just think, hey, this move's kind of goofy. What are we doing? That type of thing.
Wrestling move I dislike taking would have to be a power bomb. It just rattles your insides. It hurts so bad, and I know it's supposed to, but oh my god. And one that just I never really liked was what's it called? It's I forgot what the name of it was, but like you pick them up for like a torture rack, right? And you just drop to your knees.
Okay.
I never understood that one.
I know what you're talking
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember I can't remember what they called it either, but I know what you're talking
it
about.
was drop down, and yeah.
Yeah, that one didn't. I agree. That didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What do you love about the wrestling business, and also something that you dislike about the wrestling business?
Ooh. What I love the most about the wrestling business, I talked about it on a podcast I did earlier this week. It's the fact that it has like every form of entertainment you could want. Like it has comedy, it has drama, it has action, it has art, it has just anything you can think of, anything that your mind wants, wrestling can give it to you. And it's a great outlet, like for your creative being, for yourself, and let's face it, for aggression. And if I'd have to say I disliked anything, it is the clique/group mentality that some wrestlers have, and I myself have been known to have it. But it's more along the kind that it's like, hey, me and these people want to help, but the kind that really gets to me and gets under my skin is the group and clique mentalities that go along and they try and stop people from succeeding, and they try and just have stuff given to them, you know?
I understand that. I've seen a little bit of that around. We've been doing this now for about a year and a half. We've done probably over live streamed over probably what now about 48, 50 shows.
Yeah, we're getting close to about 50 shows that we went to, and we go to a lot of the shows, and we live stream it, and we do commentary. And about last year and a half, we've done about 50 shows over throughout the state of Indiana.
And how many interviews have we done?
We're probably up to close to. I'd have to look, but I'm going to say close to probably about 50 or 60.
Yeah, so we do a lot with independent pro wrestling, so because we love it, really into it. One thing that you would change about the wrestling business if you could.
This one might be a little controversial, not for like fans or anything, but for the wrestlers. The one thing I would change is just stop going out there and just trying to make yourself look cool. You don't look cool doing that. In fact, you look the exact opposite. Try and tell a story.
No, in some ways, you're saying it's not about doing spots. It's about telling a story.
Yeah, because if you go and like you try and remember all these spots, you're gonna forget them, and then it's not gonna be good. But if like you go out there and you actually connect with the crowd, you do what you're supposed to do, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna go good.
Kelly Fine had a question, Chris. If you want to put that up.
Do you like being babyface or heel?
Ooh. Right now in my life, I personally prefer being a heel because that's where I am everywhere. But I was a face for the first 3 years of 2.5 years of my career. And it went pretty good. The one thing that makes me feel like I prefer being a heel right now, though, is because when I was a face, everyone around me was saying, "Oh, you're so good this. You're the best at this," and it made me a little full of myself. So I think having people boo me, it kind of balances it out a little, and it makes me want to actually put on the best performance I can. So I would have to say I prefer being a heel right now.
Do you think which one do you think's harder to do, being a face or being a heel?
Heel. For a lot of people say being a face is harder, but I don't know. It came across so natural to me, but being a heel definitely at first took some getting used to, especially after 2.5 years of being a face. And like I said, a lot of people say being the face is harder, but I disagree. I think being a heel is harder, but it depends on your personality. So
The first time you was a heel and they started booing you, I bet you that felt a lot different after being a face for 2.5 years.
it did because I knew I was supposed to get booed because I'm a bad guy. It's what happens.
Yeah.
But they started booing, and my first response was, "Oh no, what do I do to fix this?"
It's like you don't have to fix anything. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I can see that because you get so used to them cheering you and being on your side, and then you walk out the curtain and it's opposite. It would have to take a little bit to get used to.
People you would like to work with that you haven't had the opportunity to yet.
That I haven't had the opportunity to work yet. Whoo. Nick Cutler, Dave Allen, there's so many that it's hard to actually come up with so many names because there's in the last 4 years that I've been doing this, I've pretty much like safe to say, except for the last like year and a half, I've wrestled a lot of the same guys. So take away that last year and a half, I don't really have a lot of experience wrestling people from other areas. So there's a lot of people I'd like to work, but the ones I said off the top of my head, I think those are the ones I'd like to work the most, being Nick Cutler, Dave Allen, just people that I can actually, get like a story with.
Any promotions that you would like to work for that you haven't had the opportunity to?
I mean, technically, I have worked. The one that came to my mind was CSW up in Chicago. They're one of the really big companies around me. But you said that I haven't worked, and technically, I've worked on a few of their pre-show battle royals, and I don't know if that counts or not. But they are pretty much my goal right now. Them, OVW, POW. I was gonna say POWW, but I don't know if they go by that or just POW, so I'm gonna say POW. DWA and a few others, but those are the main ones.
Have you mainly wrestled in like northern Indiana? Have you been to like the southern part of the state, or maybe like more of like the middle part, like where we're at here in Muncie?
I have wrestled all the way from the top of Indiana to the bottom of Indiana. Like I said earlier, me and my old road crew that I used to ride with, Sanji, Michael Pierce, Jared Kripke, we all used to yeah.
We know Kripke real well. He's been on the show a couple times. We actually just seen him this past Sunday.
Nice.
And we've seen Sanji a couple times too.
Yeah, we all used to ride up and down the roads together, going to shows and just hanging out. But yeah, we've went all the way from the top of Indiana to the bottom of Indiana.
What's the biggest? What would you say? I mean, no, you probably don't have the exact number, but what would you say the biggest crowd you've been in front of?
I do have the exact number, actually.
Okay.
350.
That's pretty
No, wait,
decent.
I am wrong. I'm wrong. I forgot about one. I do not know the exact number, but it was Taco Fest 2021 in Chicago. There was a ring set up in like this intersection of the road with buildings and like alleys and streets of just carts of and like merchant stands and stuff of just people selling tacos and a whole bunch of everything. And I think there was over like 600, 700, maybe even 1,000 people there. But I don't know how much of them were watching the show. It's a really tough thing to actually gauge because it's outside.
Yeah.
Sounds like it sounds like an event we would like. Tacos and wrestling. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with
So
that.
good.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
You can't go wrong with that. We go to a taco fest in Indianapolis every year.
Yep.
Nice.
If you put tacos and wrestling together, we definitely that's two of our favorite things.
Yeah. The only thing better would be barbecue.
Yep.
Favorite match that you've had, and also favorite opponent.
I think my favorite opponent. It has to be Kripke. It has to be Kripke. We've told so many good stories in the ring. We've been friends. We've been enemies. Heck, he even dressed up as Spider-Man and hit me in the face.
I've seen that. I've seen
I
that
think
video.
Yeah?
I think I've seen that video.
Nice. Yeah, he dressed up as Spider-Man in a match, and we had a match. It was a triple threat. Me, him, and our friend Michael Pierce. We were at the Men's Expo for PWX, and it was the main event of the night, and he got to dress up as Spider-Man. I don't know why, but it worked. And yeah, but like I said, it has to be Kripke. If not him, then I don't know who it could be.
Is that also your favorite match also?
No. Sorry about that. I completely spaced that question. My favorite match. For the story told, it has to be where I turned heel. But if I'm being honest, I've never watched it back. So it might have been the shits, if I'm allowed to.
No, yeah, you're fine.
You're good.
All right. It might have been the shits, but I've never watched it back. But just for the story told, it has to be where I turned heel in PRW, the company who trained me. It was against my trainer, John Francis, Matthew Domka. And it was just 4 years of build, because we kept building for 4 years that we were going to have a match. Not 4, 2. I keep thinking of where I'm at now. 2 years we built this whole match. We would have confrontations, and then we'd go to teaming, and then we'd be confronting each other again. And then the one time me and him step in the ring one-on-one is when I turn heel. And I was injured, like legitimately injured going into the match. That's why I never watched it back, because I had just wrestled Comic-Con the weekend before, and I did 8 matches a day for 3 days, and it was just brutal. So my knees were shot, and I went into the match anyway, and by the end of the match, I had turned heel. I shoved a fan, ripped their sign, and stomped my sunglasses that were synonymous with my character at the time. So I think just for the story told, that one has to be my favorite.
Did you just say you wrestled 8 matches a day in 3 days straight?
I did, and I regret it. I loved it. I loved it because I got to wrestle at Comic-Con, and it was pretty much a dream come true, because those are my people. I'm a video game nerd, and I'm a wrestler. So it was great. But just due to the after effects of it, I regret it. It was a bad idea to wrestle that many times a day for those amounts of days.
Oh, yeah. How'd it take a toll on your body? Why what kind of crowds did you guys get there at the Comic-Con? Was there pretty good sized crowd?
Oh yeah, there was a few pretty decent ones. There were also a few really tiny ones because we would open up the day, like we opened up Comic-Con. I think it was day 1 and day 2, or it might have been day 3. But
Which
two of
Comic-Con
the
was
crowds
this?
were.
Which Comic-Con was this?
This was Indianapolis Comic-Con 2021. Kevin Nash was there. He wasn't at the show, but he was at Comic-Con, and I got to meet him and I got to pick his brain. And it was just a really, really good learning experience, aside from me messing my knees up that bad.
Oh, but it has to take a toll on your body. That many matches in one weekend. But you did say they do get pretty good sized crowds there that kind of like stop and watch the wrestling.
Yeah. They didn't stick around for the whole show because obviously Comic-Con is a whole. You have to go here and try and get your way around before everything closes. But for a while, for I think all 3 shows, we had pretty decent crowds.
A couple questions. Marcus Fine's a huge fan here in Indiana. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to meet him.
Oh, I know Marcus. I don't know if he remembers me, but I remember him.
Yeah, he's kind of a part of the Gonzo wrestling room crew.
He's not kind of.
Well, yeah, he is. He's definitely a part of the crew. I didn't know if he thought that, so I didn't want to say it. And then he would say, "Hey,
well, even if he don't think that, he's part of the crew.
Yeah, he definitely
don't have a choice.
He's part of the family, whether he wants to be or not. But he had a question for you. Have you worked any big names?
As of yet, no. But I wouldn't really say no, but I mean, I've wrestled Kamala Jr. That's a big name around like the middle southern Indiana area, but I don't know because I don't know up here. I haven't asked. But down there, that's a bigger name. Kripke, obviously, that's a big name now. Draven Lee, he's a pretty big name in Tennessee. I've had bigger names in the Chicago area on my side, but not that I can think of. I don't think I've wrestled any like really big names. Okay, I've been on shows with them.
Okay. Give me a few names that you've been on shows with.
James Storm, Chase Stevens, Hornswoggle. There's a few more. Oh, James. His name's kind of a hush hush, but James Ellsworth.
Yep.
There's more, but I'm blanking on him right now.
We've seen Stevens, and
I wonder if he was at that show, because we've seen Stevens and Storm.
Yeah.
Oh, there is another one.
I can't remember. I don't know.
I just forgot his name.
That's who did that in Comic-Con.
Was it who did that? Yeah, we might have been. We might have been at a show. We went to a show and James Storm and Chase Stevens was both there. Kripke was there.
What show was
it? I was blonde at the time. So we might have went to the same show because was there a lot of drama surrounding that show and company?
Yep.
I was there too. I was there too.
Yep.
I was in the Monsters Ball match for the championship.
What? Why does it seem like he gets revolved around every show we do?
He might
have been at the next.
He might have been at the one that we were supposed to be at,
and we didn't go to. We went to the one before that, and Storm and Stevens was there, and then they came back, and I think he was at that one.
And we were supposed to be there, but I had COVID.
Had COVID, and we didn't make it, which we're glad that we didn't make.
And then we never went back to that promotion after all the drama that
really had a show. I don't think he's ever had a show really since then.
No,
I think
because he literally left the building to hide from what's his name? I keep forgetting. Madman Fulton. Madman
Yeah.
Fulton was there.
Yep, that was it.
And
I bet he probably had to leave Madman Fulton and kill him.
Yeah, because we was at the show
because
before that.
He didn't have enough money to pay the wrestlers after they all arrived. He said, "So I don't have any of the money I promised," and he just left the building.
Because Kripke had messaged me and said that he wasn't going to go back there, and then we talked about it. We decided we wasn't going to go back there because that's how we met. That's honestly that's how I met Kripke. Was we went to that show, and he was basically running. He was basically the guy running the show.
Then, I was the heavyweight champion of that company, so I know exactly what show you're talking about.
Marcus also had a question, which I also had down too, so I'll kind of ask it. I had a fantasy opponent, so I'll ask it. Anybody that you name bigger names, could be dead, alive, whatever. If you want to give me like 3 names, because Marcus want to know somebody you would like to work in bigger names. If you had to
names,
choose.
Dead, alive, Shawn Michaels, number 1. My friend Austin. I never got to work him. I was supposed to, but circumstances. So him, Austin Fury, Shawn Michaels, and Ric Flair when he was still Ric Flair.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels were 2 of my favorites.
Yeah.
And then
didn't
I don't think I ever got a chance to see Austin wrestle live. I've seen some video stuff. I've heard a lot about him because we've been to some shows that have talked about him and stuff, but he wasn't one that we got to see live, unfortunately.
He was really good. He was really good. A lot of the moves that I do now, I do in honor of him. I added them to my repertoire after he is no longer here with us. I added a lot of his stuff into my stuff to try and pay homage to him because he was my friend, and he was really, really good.
Yeah, I know. That's what Kripke had told us that also. Jared had told us that, about him, how good he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, it's that show he tried to cancel after the doors opened.
Yeah.
You may have already answered this because you've already said his name a couple times, but I'll ask it anyway. Maybe you have another one also. Favorite pro wrestler?
See, I had a whole bunch of favorites, but my all-time favorite, it is a tie between Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two good ones. You can't go wrong there.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I agree. Best decision you made in your wrestling career, and also the worst decision you've made in your wrestling career.
Oh, wow. The best decision that I've made, it's got to be turning heel and switching my gimmick, because my original gimmick was not Nick Diamond. At first I was a lawyer, believe it or not, with short brown hair, wearing a 2-piece suit with the sleeves cut off. And my name was Mike Balls. And I had a tag team partner named David Dixon, and we were known as The Firm, which I'm still upset at AEW for taking that. I had it first.
Well, it didn't go very well with AEW, so.
Hey, there's got television. That's
true.
Yeah, that was the best decision, was switching out of the lawyer gimmick, because I understand now what they were doing, but back then I hated it. See, looking at it now, I realize they were just giving me something to see if I could get it over with the crowd, and if I actually wanted to put in the effort. And I did, and I got it to work. And then I switched it up on him without even letting him know I was changing my gimmick. Because, like, after the whole lawyer thing got over, I was like, all right, I'm no longer a lawyer. I'm getting rid of the blue shirt. I mean, the white shirt and replacing it with a blue shirt. And I pretty much became like a 90s Shawn Michaels ripoff without asking anyone in charge.
What when you done that and showed up with a new gimmick like that without asking the guys in charge, did did they say anything to you about it, or did they just roll with it since it was
I
working?
think they saw it coming, actually. Like, I think they saw it coming because, like, I think a few weeks beforehand, I had bleached my hair, like, sand blonde. And I had been letting it grow out. And, like, I would like to say they saw it coming because I didn't let anyone know I was changing my gear, pretty much changing everything. But they didn't say anything to me, like, afterward. So either they just didn't care that I did it, or they saw it coming a mile away.
Do you think that helped your career, making that changing your gimmick and your gear?
Yeah, 110%. I was so uncomfortable being the lawyer because a little bit about me. I grew up in South Haven, Indiana, which is in between Portage and Valpo. It's not bad, but it's not the best. And I grew up listening to stuff like Eminem and metal and rap, and that's pretty much how I talk. I talk like where I was raised, and they wanted me to just come in and be a lawyer, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just so uncomfortable that the change definitely was a good move, and I think that I would have been dead in the water eventually if I didn't do it.
Also,
because it just wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Marcus Fine had a question real quick. He wanted to know if you was at the Austin Fury Memorial Show in DeMont. He said outdoor show behind his church.
Yes, I was.
Okay. I think if I remember correctly, I think Marcus.
Yeah, I think he was.
I was there.
The second part of that question: worst decision that you've made in your wrestling career?
Worst decision? Knock on wood. But I don't think I've really made that many, like, say, bad decisions in my wrestling career, because I've always had good people that I good and trusted people that I run stuff past. Before I do anything, I run it past Willie the Bomb. I run it past John Bullard. I run everything I do and everything I want to do past people who have helped me along the way. That way I don't make any decisions that I regret. That way I don't do anything stupid, you know? So knock on wood, I don't think I've made anything that I could classify as my worst decision so far.
Marcus said he was there. I thought he was, because that was one of the shows that we were invited to, but something had happened and we wasn't able to go. We wasn't able to go because Kripke had talked to us about coming to that show and live streaming it and everything.
We ended up doing something else. It was something else we had to do. Toughest match you've ever been in, and also the easiest match you've ever been in. What I mean by that, toughest could be where it was just physically really tough, or it could be just where things went wrong. You know, it was just not a great night at the office. And the easiest match where just things just went great and, couldn't went any better, in your opinion.
My easiest match has to be one I did just a few weeks ago in Griffith, Indiana. Easiest in the way that it went exactly the way it should have. That was me versus Johnny Motley for the Backbreaker Wrestling Legacy Championship. It was my debut match, and everything it was so good. So I think that one has to be the one that I think is just, it was the easiest in a sense of we didn't have to try and fix anything. Like we didn't have to try and recollect ourselves. It flowed. It was like water. And it was really funny because me and him have really similar looks. So it was a nice visual pairing and a nice pairing in the ring. But the one that I say was the hardest and the worst was I don't know if I'm allowed to say this one. I might get heat. Me versus Max Holiday. I will not get into why, because that is personal and it does not need to be aired out. But I had 2 matches with Max Holiday, and the second one did not go very well. And that is all I will say on that.
I'm sure things like that happen. I mean, for whatever reason, and there's no way that you can do hundreds and hundreds of matches and everything go great all the time. So I mean, there's going to be whatever the reason.
Yeah.
Any style of match that you haven't done yet that you would like to do?
That I would like to do a tables match. I've said it since I started. I want to go through a table. I have always wanted to go through a table. I'll probably regret it the second I go through a table, but I want it. So a tables match is at the top of my list, or anything that involves a table, because I've done hardcore matches. I've done Monsters Ball. I've wrestled on thumbtacks. I've been slammed on Legos. I've been hit over the head with a steel chair. I've been cracked with a kendo stick, but I have never went through a table. Hell, I've even been hit with a ladder.
All them things that you've named, which was the worst?
The worst? The Legos. The Legos were the worst.
I was wondering. That's what I was kind of thinking.
I was going to ask him how the Legos felt, because I always thought that'd be the worst. And then he asked that question.
The guy here wants to know. Guy here has got a question. Want to know how the thumbtacks felt.
See, that's the thing. I didn't really necessarily land in them 100%. My legs did, because I hit someone with a spear into the thumbtacks. His name is AVZ, Alex Van Zant. He wrestles up in Michigan mostly.
Yeah. We've seen him.
He's a really good guy. I wrestled him at Comic-Con too. Me and him and another guy named Savior, we were in a Monsters Ball match for my belt, and I hit him with a spear into thumbtacks, and the thumbtacks got my shins, my knees, and the bottoms of my feet. But I was wearing protective gear, like knee pads, shoes, and stuff like that, so I didn't really feel them. So I don't really have an answer to that.
But the Legos, I bet you that just, I know how it feels just to step on a Lego. I couldn't imagine.
I got picked up, and I got hit with a fireman's carry onto the Legos. Ooh. And Hot Rod Daddy Andy had to pull a Lego out of my back when I walked through the curtain. Oh. Like, it wasn't like stuck in my skin or nothing, but I landed on it so hard that when I got up and moved, it just stayed on my back.
You probably had an imprint of a Lego on your back, I would say.
Oh, yeah. It's actually still in my bag. Like, I have that Lego set aside. It's like a memory of that match of Legos, because I will never do it again.
I remember I used to umpire baseball a lot, and I got hit with the fastball, and then I got home and took my equipment off, and you could see the imprint of the writing on the baseball from where it had hit me. So I couldn't imagine Legos. I think I've always thought it was at Thunder or Blunder back in December. We saw some Legos, and I'm like, man, you guys are correct. You guys are crazy.
It was a spur of the moment decision, because it was a hardcore match with a really, really talented up and coming wrestler named Muggsy James, and it was for my junior heavyweight championship for IPW up in Chicago. and it was a hardcore match. And next thing I know, I get hit with a popcorn bucket and Legos come falling out. And I'm like, okay. So, yeah, he ended up winning that match with the move that he slammed me on the Legos with, because I'm not kicking out of that. I just got slammed on Legos. I'm going home. So he
Which
won
is
that
worse?
match.
Which is worse, taking a chair shot or a kendo stick?
Kendo stick.
I know that's what Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray both said, that they would take chair shots all day long.
It's because your skin can get pinched in between the wood, and it makes it so much worse. Like, getting hit with it, it's like, ow, that hurt. And until you get hit with it that one time and your skin gets caught, and it's like, oh my God. It is one of the, because I haven't been, no, I take that back. I have been hit with one in a match, but it wasn't that bad. But I've been hit with one at a practice, and it was so much worse. So I'm definitely gonna have to say kendo stick.
Have you been? DJ Hype Beats in the comments was asking some questions about death matches. Have you ever been in a death match?
I have not, and I will not. No disrespect to deathmatch wrestlers, because obviously there's a draw for deathmatch. People want to see it, so you can't really rag on it because it's what the fans want. But me as a person, this is gonna sound really bad saying, but I value my body more than that to do that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There ain't nothing wrong. I'm not gonna lie. I'd like to go watch one live. It's just I've never seen one live before, so I'd like to go check one out. But there's no way you're getting me. You're gonna get me to do a death match.
I wrestled a deathmatch wrestler before they became a deathmatch wrestler. It was 2019. I was in a triple threat with Ryan Shadows, who I mentioned earlier, and Hoodfoot, Mo Atlas.
I'm glad you brought up Hoodfoot, because we actually watched him on a Game Changer one night get stabbed with a light tube, and they ended up having to stop the match and take him to the hospital.
Got filleted.
Yeah, I saw that.
His arm was just hanging there. Dude, it was some of the craziest shit I've ever seen.
We was doing a live watch along on the air, and we about freaked out. I mean, the skin was hanging everywhere. He wanted to keep wrestling. He was arguing with him. The other guy was wrestling, Slade, kept trying to attack him. The refs trying to stop him, and it was nuts.
Well, yeah, I'm thankful that they did, because if they actually would have went through with it, I don't know if he'd be here right now.
No, he probably wouldn't. He'd have bled to death.
Because he was leaking. It was scary.
Oh, I vividly remember it. I have a really weak stomach, so the second I saw it, I'm like, oh no.
DJ, I'm not sure if that match is on YouTube or not. I'm sure you probably could find it.
It is.
It is. Okay.
I showed it to a friend of mine the other day, and he was freaking out.
I was gonna say, I'm sure you can find video of it, but yeah, it's crazy.
Look, Hoodfoot and Slade, probably Game Changer wrestling, and you probably put light tubes in, and it'll probably come up too.
And light tubes are crazy. I don't know how them guys take it. You be digging glass out of yourself. You have to be digging glass out of yourself for weeks. The way them things explode.
I wrestled with a hole in my foot from stepping on a nail, and that is the most death match I will ever do.
I got in there and took 3 chops, and that's the most you're gonna see me do. I was bruised for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. My chest was purple and blue, and I was at the first show we went to in Stream Live. They kind of suckered me down to the ring after the show. I thought I was taking 1 chop, and ended up getting 3 of them.
Best piece of advice
one time I was told to stand in a corner when I first started training, and I got hit with over 25 chops with every member of the roster. Like every member of the roster got to chop me once, and it was brutal. Like, it cut my chest. I have a scar to this day right here.
Oh, I imagine, because like I said, I had a handprint and was blue and purple for about a week and a half at least.
Mm-hmm.
the other two guys that done the show with me at the time, it was before Dad started helping me. They both, when they called us out, because what happened, there was another podcast there, and they had that guy in the ring, and they gave him one little chop. It was, I mean, it wasn't even a hard chop.
Yeah.
They kind of body slammed. They kind of just laid him there. Well, then they called us out, and the two guys with me, they both took off and hid. They're like, "No, I'm not doing it." Well, I walk with a cane, so I said, "Fuck it." So I hobbled down the stairs. Got down there, got in the ring, thinking. I told them guys, "You better get this on camera." I thought I was thinking probably gonna take one chop. Next thing I know, they pulled the shirt over my head.
I got you with
three.
that one.
Yeah, got 3. Yep.
Who was Dex Royal?
Dex Royal.
Joey Owens, who that dude chops harder than shit, and then Max Sterling. I don't know if you know any of them guys, but yeah,
I know Max Sterling.
They got me pretty good that night.
Best piece of advice you've been given while you've been in the wrestling business?
Slow down.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah,
too.
pretty much. I've been hearing that a lot.
And if you think you're going too slow, slow down some more.
So a lot of people answer that question that way, and then we went to a seminar with Rock and Roll Express.
Nice.
And
nice.
that's all Morton talked about was slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down and basically do less.
Especially if you're a big guy and you're going like 100 miles an hour. Slow down. You're gonna tire yourself out, and then you're gonna lose.
DJ Hypebeat says, well, "What do you mean slow down?"
See, it's like, say like someone the size of Mark Henry gets in the ring. Like, you expect them to wrestle like a bigger guy. And if they go in there and all they're doing is running, hitting the ropes, hitting big running moves, and just pretty much making themselves wrestle like a smaller guy, it takes away from their presence. It takes away from their persona. It takes away from all of that. And if you're a smaller guy and you're doing it, there's a fine line where it's okay and where you're no longer telling a story and you're just doing moves. So if you just slow down, you can find that happy medium where you're telling a story and doing the moves.
You want to,
and you want to let everything breathe a little
you want
bit.
everything breathe.
Yeah, because if you don't let it breathe, the crowd is just going to be like, oh. What was that first thing he got hit with?
Yeah, I mean, you got to let it breathe. Or see, that's been a criticism I have of AEW. They don't let stuff breathe, and that's even from a match going to an interview. Instead, you know, they just go 100 miles a minute, and everything's forgotten. And that's one been. I mean, I like AEW, and I watch it every week. That's been one of my criticisms. And I'm old school. I'm almost 60 years old, and I've been watching wrestling forever. You know, and I watch everything. He can talk to that. I watch it every night and watch. I've got wrestling on in the other room right now, old stuff. So
7 days a week he's watching wrestling.
7 days a week for me. So
pretty much the same. I've slowed down a little bit now because I'm working the shoot job more than I was. But before I started picking up on that, I was watching wrestling all day, every day, and so I get it.
Do you watch a lot of this stuff on TV now, like WWE, AEW?
I watch highlights, but I mainly go on to Peacock or YouTube, and I watch stuff that I either haven't seen, like stuff from before my time, or stuff that I saw as a kid, so I can actually go back, study it, remember it, and try and learn stuff from it.
That's one thing.
So I watch pretty much a good mixture of everything.
That's one thing I've noticed doing these interviews is that a lot of the wrestlers, most of them watch, but most of them don't watch what's going on today. They watch, like you said, they watch old school stuff and study and learn, or watch stuff maybe they didn't get to see. But a lot of the wrestlers that we've talked to don't really watch a lot of what's on TV now. It's more watching, like you said, watch stuff on YouTube or on the network and stuff like that, and watching.
You're Mount Rushmore of pro wrestlers. You're four guys.
See, that's that is a difficult question because I didn't think about it this way until I watched a Seth Rollins interview. But if you're talking about Mount Rushmores, what are you talking about? Entertainment, pure wrestling skill, or the all-around it factor?
However you want to do it.
Because there's also a Mount Rushmore for talkers, and Hogan's on that one. Hogan, Flair, Macho Man, and Triple H are my 4 for the talkers. And if not Triple H, John Cena, because he's on every single one of these. But my main generic Mount Rushmore would have to be Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, even though there's some flack on his name recently. But if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, we would not the wrestling boom wouldn't have happened to the expense that it did and the extent that it did without Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
So Hogan has to be on there. Shawn for just his wrestling ability, Hogan for his draw, Ricky Steamboat for his technical ability, John Cena for all-around it factor.
Pretty good 4. One of my guys is that I have on my 4, which you didn't, and I understand. I had Dusty Rhodes because of his talking ability,
love Dusty Rhodes,
and also his just his behind the scenes stuff in the business.
Mm-hmm.
So his creativity is one reason why I think he stands out. For me.
Yeah, I 100% see that because something that I haven't mentioned, because I mentioned it last week on my other podcast that I did because I haven't done an interview podcast thing besides the one I did last week, a year. I have been gone from all media except for my own Facebook and Instagram for a year. And during that time, I got accepted to the Rhodes Wrestling Academy. Huh?
Yeah, I think we might have lost him for a second. We'll see.
Is it back?
If he comes back here in a minute.
Not bad connection.
All of a sudden, something happened.
Is it back? Hello?
Yeah, there you go. Now we can hear you.
There we go.
Yeah, we lost you.
That's all right.
No.
Where did you lose me at?
Come back or not?
It's breaking up again.
Oh no.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
You hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like it's working better. I don't know what happened there. How the bad connection went out a little bit. But
yeah.
Froze up.
I was during my hiatus from interviews, I got accepted into the Rhodes Wrestling Academy, and it didn't turn out working out in my favor because I didn't prepare as much as I thought I did. But I got recognized by the Rhodes by Dustin. It wasn't just a you applied, you win a spot to our school. It was we can tell you've had training and that you've wrestled. Come down here. Let's teach you some stuff. Are you interested? And I wasn't able to do it, so it sucked. But now I kind of have like a fire lit under me to go there for their next class because I was accepted. So you mentioned Dusty Rhodes, and me and the Rhodes Academy kind of just popped in my head. I spaced it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Marcus said it was us. Said it was our internet.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, we didn't know what was going on, and the guy said it was our internet for some reason.
Oh well, internet's internet.
Okay. Yep, that's true.
Another one of them technology things.
Yep.
Also, when it works right, but when it doesn't work right, it's a pain in the ass.
Should I have him repeat that a little bit? Because I don't know if people really got all that about the Rhodes Academy or not.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, could you repeat that a little bit about the Rhodes Academy? Because I think we was cutting in and out during a lot of that.
Yeah. Over the last year, I I've really taken a break from doing podcasts and interviews and stuff because I was contacted by the Rhodes Wrestling Academy, and I spaced it because I was too busy getting prepared for that. And then I ended up not being able to go. So I'm trying to get back into it now. And just when you mentioned Dusty Rhodes, the Rhodes Wrestling Academy popped in my head because that's something that I've done while I've been away from interviews.
Where's the Rhodes Wrestling Academy at?
It is in Texas. It is right outside of Austin, Texas.
I figured it was Texas, but I wasn't for sure.
Well, I didn't know because I know, with Dustin doing a lot in Florida, I didn't know. So I wasn't sure.
True too.
You have any, I know you're busy with wrestling and like you said, you got a shoot job. You have any hobbies?
Video games.
If
I'm not at my shoot job,
Everybody's answer.
If I'm not at my shoot job or wrestling, I am playing video games and hanging out with my birds.
You got a lot of birds?
I have 2 birds. One's a boy, one's a girl. They're little parakeets. Me and my girlfriend got them because the original owner was just going to let them out in the wild because they didn't have anywhere to put them in their new house. And you can't do that with pet birds. They'll die.
Yeah.
So we took them in, and one of them, the boy, we named Buzz, and the girl, we named her Gertrude because she always looks upset. And that sounds like an angry old lady's name.
Yeah.
I used to have a cockatiel. That's what we had.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I had one of those. My son named him Popeye. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
I had a cockatiel when I was growing up. His name was Petrie from like Land Before Time.
Okay.
But my dad forgot to feed him while I was gone for a week, and I came back to no more bird. So once I got old enough to be able to afford my own birds, I'm a bird person now, I guess.
Yeah, I had that happen with a rabbit with my son. He one of them rabbits at a fair.
Yeah.
He went to his mom's for a week and came back. Well, while he was gone for that week, the rabbit passed away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then he came back to my house all excited to see his rabbit. There was no more rabbit. Like, oh, like buddy, your rabbit got out of the cage and took off.
Oh no.
DJ High Beats is wanting to know what games you play, Xbox or PlayStation.
I am an Xbox guy through and through. My favorite gaming console of all time and the best gaming console of all time is the PlayStation 2. But they don't make those games anymore, so I'm an Xbox guy. I have been since the 360, and my go-to game since 2011 is Skyrim. There's just something about medieval times, dragons. It's my favorite. I have a whole wall of swords right over there. So,
favorite food?
Steak.
Can't go wrong there either. No. DJ says he plays a lot of Forza 5.
Forza 4, funny enough, was mine and my grandpa's video game. Me and him used to play all the time. When I was growing up, me and my grandpa, I don't see him anymore because him and my grandma are no longer together, but we used to sit down and play Forza 4 all the time. It was cool. I like the Forza games. They're just not really my style.
Yeah. I'm an Xbox guy, but I play mainly like Madden.
Yeah.
Mainly sports games.
If it's not Skyrim, I'll say then it has to be like a wrestling game or like Grand Theft Auto or something. But my go-to game is Skyrim. And
I will play like the WWE 2K games with my son sometimes, or UFC games where we can fight each other and stuff like that. Which he's 23 now, so he plays a lot of Call of Duty and Fortnite.
See, I'm not a Call of Duty fan, and I hate Fortnite. I'm not a fan of shooter games.
I'm terrible at shooter games.
Me too. That's why I'm not a fan.
That's why I don't play them. Yeah. Marcus said that my son loves Skyrim, released 11/11/11.
And I've been playing it since 11/11/11.
What was the best wrestling video game?
SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, without a doubt.
That's a good one. There were
And
some
if
good
it's
ones
not
on the
that
old.
one, it's Here Comes the Pain. But in my opinion, they're tied.
What was the ones you guys played? Because you guys before that time, you was it back.
We played what was it, Unforgiven and them on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
They had some good wrestling games on the 64, but I've played the ones he was talking about as well because I played the new. Well, I haven't played the newest one, but I played. We played a lot of the latest WWE games. But yeah, the Nintendo 64 used to have some pretty good WWE games back in.
Yeah, it really did. Like No Mercy and
No Mercy. We'll have to do that, DJ. We'll have to play some Madden together sometime. We can make that happen. I'm not as I'll be honest with you, I'm not as good at it now as I used to be because I don't play it as much anymore. But when I used to be my game. That was pretty good. That was my favorite game when I was younger.
I haven't played a Madden game since before the 2010s, and it was on PlayStation 2.
Yep. Oh, I was gonna say I was real good on the PlayStation 2 back then before the 2010s. But that's what I played all the time.
Go.
I know DJ had asked it earlier. I didn't get a chance to ask you. He'd asked where he could follow you at or find information about you. So
he's asking where you wrestled at too. I was going to let you repeat that. You know where the main area that you because I don't know where he's from either. So
I know we see him in Danville a lot.
In Danville, he was wondering what places you might be wrestling and stuff. I think he's maybe wanting to check you out.
Right now, I am mainly wrestling in the northern Indiana, Chicago area. I'm wrestling this Saturday in Dwight, Illinois. I'm wrestling, and I think after that, I'm wrestling in Illinois again the week after. And then I'm just going to be around the Lake Station, Maryville, Hobart area for pretty much the foreseeable future until another show out towards northern Illinois.
Do you have like Facebook or any social media where people can find you, or do you, or even if you have a merch store or anything like that?
I have all of the above.
Plug all your stuff.
You can find me at Instagram at _NickDiamond_. You can find me on Twitter at NickDiamondPro. Facebook, Nick Diamond. YouTube, Nick Diamond. It's pretty much my name everywhere. The picture is going to be, the only one with the dude with purple hair. My merch stores you can find on Brainbuster Tees /Nick Diamond and Pro Wrestling Tees Nick Diamond. My Brainbuster Tees store sells hoodies, hats, everything else like that for the seasonal weather, and Pro Wrestling Tees is just t-shirts. So any one of those, I can send you guys some links too if you want. That way, when you upload it or anything, you can put it in there just in case they didn't catch it when I said it.
Yep. Do that.
All right. Cool.
Marcus Fine said, "Are you working a show in Illinois on 3/12?"
Danville, Illinois.
NVW is in Danville, Illinois.
I think I'm working one 3/11. I don't know about 3/12. I would have to check.
Yeah, that's a Sunday. Yeah, it's a Sunday.
That's a Sunday. Yeah,
I know Marcus is going to that show, so that's probably why he's asking to see if you're going to be there.
Yeah,
that's a new version.
I know for a fact I'm working the 11th. I don't know about the 12th. I might not be.
DJ said he found you.
I see that. I see that one. I saw that question. Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about that we didn't get to?
No. Any questions you guys have, I'm willing to answer anything. I ain't got nothing going on.
I'm good to go. You got anything?
No, I think other than anytime if you'd like to come back on sometime, you're more than welcome to.
Any shows you want to promote?
Yeah, if you have that's another thing. If you have shows you're going to be at that you want to promote or whatever, just hit me up or send them to me. graphic or
All right.
something, and I'll put it on our pages.
Okay.
We just want to see independent wrestling grow. So that's something we try to help anybody that we can get their name out there more. Like I said, you're more if you have a big match coming up that you want to talk about, let me know. We can work something out, get you back on.
All right, cool.
Like I said, I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah,
hopefully everybody watching enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Sounds like we would have seen you at a couple of shows. Sounds like we would have got to see you live at a couple of shows if some things would have worked out a little different.
Yeah, it's funny. Small world.
Yeah, that's how that's how we met Kripke. Was through there, and then he came on the show, and
the
then
company that shall not be named.
Yeah.
But then he came on our show, did an interview, and then we started seeing him at a lot of other shows in Lafayette, and of course Danville, Indiana. Now that's where the show DJs talk. Where we always see him at that show in Danville.
Yep, Danville.
Yeah.
So we saw Kripke wrestle. Where did he wrestle? Logan Myers.
Yep.
Wrestled Logan Myers.
That match actually just popped up in my recommendations a little bit ago.
Yeah, we got to see him there. There was some good talent at that show, but I've always been a big Kripke fan. He's not only is he good in the ring, but he's also a good guy. At least,
oh yeah, he's a genuine person.
Great.
Yeah, definitely.
But if nothing else, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo Sports Room. We'd really appreciate it. Like and follow on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all at Gonzo Sports Room. That's where we post all the information about shows, interviews we have coming up, anything to do with the show. If you're a sports fan, we do sports talk show. We do a easy sports betting show. So we cover anything from sports to pro wrestling. Today's what, Thursday?
Yep.
Yes, we don't have no more shows tonight. But tomorrow we have a full slate of shows. I think we have 4 shows tomorrow, as we have our Easy Money and Sports Betting show at 3. And then tomorrow's Friday, so tomorrow night at 11, we'll have 11 p.m. Eastern, we'll have our sports talk show, Gonzo Sports Room. And then this Sunday, we'll be live from Greenfield, Indiana for Summit Pro Wrestling Retribution. Come join us for that. We'll be live on our YouTube channel, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter channels at Gonzo Sports Room and the All Sports All Plays Network. Main event for that is going to be Alice Crowley versus Jeremy Hadley. So it should be a fun main event. Should be a fun main event. So come join us for that. Big shout out to Nick Diamond for joining us today. Like I said, you're more than welcome to come back. And we will be back on. We'll see you guys Sunday for the pro wrestling show, and then G.W.R. will be back Monday with our G.W.R. Wrestling podcast with Marcus Fine.
Talking about the
what are we talking?
Greatest heels.
Okay, we're going to be talking about the greatest heels in wrestling on Monday evening, 6:30. So join us for that, and then trying to think of our next interview. It'd be Wednesday. Next Wednesday we have Glenn.
Yep, Glenn Richardson.
We have Glenn Richardson,
another big super fan.
Yeah, big wrestling super fan and
sports super fan. He goes
sports super fan. So
he goes everywhere.
We'll see him. We'll talk to him on next Wednesday. But thanks for joining us. We will see you guys next time. Everybody have a great night.